I remember in my school years, there was always that one kid who would say, "Dude, I'm so bored. I wish something interesting would happen." Well, maybe for that guy, his wish came true when he woke up to snow in summer, because yes, it happened. There were cases of heavy snowfall during the summertime in many parts of our planet. So what if an endless winter is coming? What if it starts tomorrow? Can we survive an endless winter? Or will we die a horrible death?
Oh.
No need to worry too much, guys. No meteorologist or climatologist expects such a thing to happen anytime soon. But scientists are people too, and they can be wrong. Plus, it's fun to imagine how the world would look after the snow fell for, let's say, 200 years. Just kidding. We'll talk about this in today's video. So let's take a look at all the ways that an endless winter could begin. As you know, the Earth's axis is slightly tilted. Without this tilt, we wouldn't have seasons. And we would only experience moderate temperatures everywhere, around 6 degrees Celsius or about 43 degrees Fahrenheit. Tilted on its axis, the Earth moves around the sun and during different parts of the year. Various regions receive varying amounts of sunlight, which gives us 4 seasons: spring, summer, fall, and winter. In summer, the North Pole is inclined towards the sun, so it receives more sunlight than in winter. It's obvious that if the Earth suddenly stopped its rotation or started rotating in the opposite direction, the climate would change dramatically. But no one expects any of this to happen in the next few million years. However, this is not the only reason why winter can turn into an endless one. The second way that an endless winter can begin is by changing the tilt of the Earth's axis. If the tilt changes dramatically, then the amount of sunlight reaching the Earth's surface will also change, and the consequences may be disastrous. For example, a slight shift of the axis by 1.5 degrees can lead to an ice age. Even a change of just 4 degrees can cause a pole to be completely covered with ice. And half of the planet will plunge into darkness for several months every year. Again, don't worry though. In fact, even if the tilt of the axis does change, this process takes place over millions of years. The last time the Earth had a tilt like that was 34 million years ago. And according to scientists, the last time the tilt was almost perpendicular to the current one was 90 million years ago. Back then, the average temperature on the planet reached 35 degrees Celsius, or 95 degrees Fahrenheit. But wait, there are still a couple of scenarios left for the beginning of the endless winter. The third option is the impact of a large celestial body on our planet. An asteroid or comet falling on Earth could not only change the tilt of our planet's axis, but also block the sunlight, plunging the Earth into an endless winter. By the way, some scientists believe that this is how the dinosaurs died. A giant comet about 10 kilometers or 6 miles in diameter fell to the Earth and caused a terrible catastrophe. Scientists estimate that the comet hit the planet with a force of about 38 trillion tons of TNT. This is equivalent to the explosion of 100 trillion nuclear bombs like the one that fell on Hiroshima. Such a terrible blow could of course change the climate of the planet and cause the extinction of many species. But not all. After all, it was after such a catastrophe that mammals began their triumphal procession across the Earth. The fourth scenario is the most fantastic. Maybe somewhere in the vastness of space, there's a planet or some other celestial body that has a gravitational pull on our planet and is able to stop it from spinning on its axis. But if this were so, astronomers would have long ago noticed strange movements of the Earth's axis. Also, I'm sure you've heard that the Earth's axis is gradually shifting, and this is true. But don't worry, in 10,000 years it will shift by only 400 kilometers, or 250 miles. That's less than the length of the Great Wall of China. If an endless winter did occur, how long could it last? And what would the consequences be? There's only one answer to this question. It will last until the heat death of the universe. Yes, you heard right. Scientists believe that the heat death of the universe will occur in 10 to the 100th power years. That's a Google years. It's impossible to imagine such a number because it's beyond the limits of human perception. A day before the heat death of the universe, the Earth will freeze completely, including the Earth's core, because the temperature inside our planet will drop below absolute zero. At the same time, entropy will reach its maximum value, and the second law of thermodynamics will finally be proven. If an endless winter did begin tomorrow, would we die? Yes, all life on Earth would die. People would freeze in a matter of hours. Animals would die along with them. Plants would wither and fall to the ground, unable to withstand the cold. the ocean would turn into a thick layer of ice. All this would happen within a few days. Bacteria would die. Only tardigrades would survive. These unique creatures can withstand extreme temperatures, cosmic radiation, dehydration, vacuum, and much more. So perhaps these little animals would be the only living things on the planet. Someday they would even die, but they wouldn't freeze because a dead body can't freeze. This is a myth. You can't freeze when you're dead. It turns out that the only way to survive an endless winter is to die first. But let's assume that you managed to build a shelter, stock up on food and water, and most importantly, electricity. How long would your supplies last? I think no more than 3 months. After all, in the absence of sunlight, the solar panels of your shelter simply won't work. Without electricity, nothing would work in your shelter. The water would quickly run out and the food would spoil. Nothing can last forever. Even if you had infinite supplies of food and water, you would eventually get sick of eating them. Canned food and purified water aren't exactly delicacies. Sooner or later, you would become malnourished and die of hunger and thirst. Even if you find a way to entertain yourself, what's the point of playing games when you're freezing and dying of hunger? Even if you miraculously manage to survive in such conditions, sooner or later you will go crazy because you will never see the sun again. You can watch movies and TV shows about an endless winter. The most famous of them is The Road. The movie is based on the novel of the same name by Cormac McCarthy. It's published in 2006. The story takes place in a post-apocalyptic future where a father and son are trying to survive in a world covered in snow and ice. They move south, hoping to find a warmer climate and a better life. The movie was released in 2009 and starred Viggo Mortensen and Cody Smith-McPhee. Despite mixed reviews, the film received numerous awards and nominations, including 2 Oscars, Golden Globe, and a BAFTA. Another great movie is The Grey, released in 2011. It tells the story of a group of people who survived a plane crash in the middle of nowhere. They must now fight for their lives against wolves. The film stars Liam Neeson and Dermot Mulroney. It got mostly positive reviews from critics and was a box office success. And if you're looking for something lighter, I recommend checking out the series Jerk, which takes place in a fantasy world full of talking animals and magic. But back to our topic. If you manage to survive an endless winter, you will eventually have to leave your shelter because you will run out of food and water, even if you somehow manage to keep your shelter warm enough. You will go outside and see a real winter wonderland. All trees and bushes will be covered with a thick layer of snow, and the sun will be hiding behind dark clouds. The sky itself will be covered with snow, so you will only see white around you. Soon, however, you will realize that this beauty is deceptive, and you will die a horrible death. Maybe someday an endless winter will really come, but not on our planet. After all, scientists have calculated that the sun will die long before that, in about 5 billion years. When it happens, it will be an endless summer. What do you think? Write about it in the comments.